it's good to get a win. Obviously, it's always fun to win. Now we got another opponent actually, sitting home that night and watching games the next day. You're sitting there watching all these games, and these guys hadn't played until they were a little later, and all of a sudden I'm watching the SC game, and I look over and they score 77 points. I said, oh boy, that's kind of like 77 points, a lot of points. And they do a nice job offensively. Coach was at Utah, does a good job. The defensive coordinator does a good job as well. So very well coached football team for their first time out, scoring that many points and playing pretty good defense as well.
Paul Richardson, Sportscape coach. Two things. One, after looking at the film, could you point out some of the things you kind of liked about your freshman quarterback playing his first game? And then two, you talked about special teams. Is that just execution, or was that nerves, you think?
Well, a lot of it was youth. The coverage team was the one. And the punt return situation, it was pretty good. And then toward the end there, we needed to field a punt rather than hit the ground. They got the ball, in a deep territory. We ended up getting out of there. The punter saved us a couple times with his leg, obviously, changing the field position. But it's just mechanics of the first game, of all those things coming into play. All of a sudden, now it's real. Clock's running. Players are all over the sideline. Coaches are trying to communicate. That's what you don't get, without playing a game. So it was good. We got that one under our belt. It was fortunate we were able to win.
And then Phil, watching.
The young guys, center played fairly well for a freshman. Did a nice job. Quarterback, he did okay. There's probably a couple throws he wished he could take back. Maybe look down the field a little bit more. But the thing I like about Jaden, he's willing to take a profit. He's going to take a profit. He's going to get the ball out of his hand and keep the chains moving. It's hard to teach quarterbacks that. That's got a little bit of his DNA. Like, if it's not there, I'm going to take what they give me. He's patient that way. Made a really nice throw to Frank down the boundary there. The play to Ayuk was kind of reminding me of Nikhil. Similar kind of play. He catches it one side, goes up the middle, and splits and runs. So we made a couple big plays. There's some more plays we need to make, obviously, down the field. I feel like we've got some receivers with some speed that we got to get them down the field a little bit to get the defense, pushing back some, because they're crowding the line of scrimmage right now. They want to stop the run, which we said they were going to try to do, and they did a good job first half. And then obviously second half we did some adjustments, and we got to run the ball a little bit better.
Chris Cartman, Sun Devil Source. Herm, kind of building off what Paul was asking, just for having new guys on your offensive front, guys moving around, and it's the first game, just after rewatching it, your sense of blocking and protections and where you guys are at generally in that regard?
We're still trying to improve. When you get that many moving pieces, you lose your center, 2 days before, and now the rookie center has to play a freshman. Okay, so that's kind of like, okay, now what are we going to do here, right? And you're trying to get the guard situation established, and you got to move somebody that was playing center now. You got to move him to guard, and so all that's part of it. It'll be interesting this week because these guys, they play a little bit of that bare front, and so that'll be interesting how we handle that. So I think the more we see of things and the more we can play together, we do know this, the center's the center now. Unless he gets hurt, he's the center. He's going to be the guy playing. And so I think all the positions are set for the most part, and now we've got to continue to build on that.
Hood Rubino, Devil's Digest. Herm, did you plan to play Jaden as much as you did, or is just because how the way the game developed that it took time for you to create distance between you and Kent State, and he really was forced to play the whole game?
Well, yeah, when you think about it, it was a 10-0 score at half, right? And then third quarter we did a nice job and got to 17. But then as the game played out, it was just one of those games where you just felt like we got to give him some more reps. He's got to play with the line. He's got to play with the players. This group, you got a bunch of different receivers now, young receivers, and it's just there's so many young guys. He needs to play with all those guys. That's the problem. You'd like to say, well, I want to play these other guys. Well, the problem is you got to get the quarterback familiar with some of these young receivers. We had a freshman tight end. We had 2 other freshman receivers. All of a sudden, you got all these moving parts. And you say, well, how do you get that done? Well, you got to play in a game to get it done. It's one thing to practice it, but now you got to play in the game. So I just thought that's where we're at. If we had a veteran group, it'd be a different deal, but we don't. And I just think that's the downside of it all. You like to get some more guys in, obviously, if you create a lead in certain games. But right now, that unit has to play together. That offensive line and that quarterback got to play together. Those receivers that are rotating in and out of there, they got to learn how to play together. So it's a work in progress.
Herm, you had Kalen Curse-Thomas in a Mandrake jersey.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's Defensive Player of the Week recognition.
Right.
Is that what
Well,
led you to decide to do that?
Well, it can go to any player. It's not a defensive award, and I think the offense thought it was a defensive award. Because Frank came up to me and says, "How can we get one of those, Coach?" I said, "There was 3 guys in the running. It was the punter, it was the quarterback, and it was Kalen." And he ended up winning an award. And he said, "Every time we win, we're gonna give him the Mandrake jersey. It's you wear it to practice, and eventually I want to get a black helmet, and just that's the award. We don't. That's what we do. A lot of teams do different things. We prefer to do that. It's kind of a fun award. The players were excited about it when I presented it to them, and then I didn't realize that the offense just thought because the defensive player won it, they said, well, that's a defense. It's not. It's whoever the MVP is that game, and there was 3 guys in the running, happened to go to Kalen. So it's a fun award. They're excited about trying to get it. So says you got to win to get it. So if you keep winning, maybe you can hand out some more.
Only one player will be able to wear it on a weekly basis.
One. The guy that's the MVP of the game, he wears it the whole week. Yeah, and it's just a week. It's a week award when we win. Yeah.
You didn't do that in the NFL, did you?
No. They pay him money. Lots of money when you win. But we don't do that in college football. We give them awards,
Wait, Jeff.
I'm sorry.
No worries. Greg Moore, Arizona Republic. Coach, good to see you. Curious, what did Donovan do well, right? So we've been hearing that he played well, and I can watch the film and I can see a little bit of stuff, but can you speak specifically to anything that you saw? And then also, were there any thoughts about moving Cabral back to center?
No thoughts at all about moving him. There was a conversation, but then we go, well, now we're going to be, he's practiced there the whole off season, and now we're going to move him back. We just said, the guy of your future is him, so let's let him play. And he did a really good job. As far as protection goes, as far as moving people, he's very competitive. Guys, think about this. You got a freshman quarterback, knock on wood now, and a freshman center. There wasn't any bad handoffs. There was no bad snaps. I say that, doggone it, and I shouldn't have said it. But that's the first thing you worry about. But he was very comfortable, and that's what we saw. We saw that in practice, and we said, this dude is, and we just said, I got to the point, I said, just start it. Don't mess around. Just start the kid and let him play. And he did a really good job.
Hi. You talked about Turk after the game. Can you elaborate a little more on him, and then also Zendejas coming in that situation and performing the way he did, just a little bit on both of them?
Yeah, both Zendejas, he doesn't know until we go to warm-ups. Basically, I'm in the locker room with Coach Slocum, and I said, okay, here's the deal. I said, go take him out and figure out if the kicker can kick. And Coach said, then don't let him kick. I said, Zendejas is up. Kid comes in and said, you're kicking. And he looked, he said, what? You got to kick. You got to kick the ball. And then the other kid, Plaster, I said, you're kicking off. And that's how it went. And went in there and kicked the ball and did a great job. The punter, you saw it in practice. I was just wanting to see if he's going to do it in the game, and lo and behold, he did it in the game. He hit it. He hit that ball. It was fun to watch. Because that changes the field. There's no doubt. That's when you get into a defensive game, which it kind of was in the first half. It was only 10-0. You need to trade field position when you're stuck. And we were stuck a couple times, and he got it back, inside their 20. I think he had 3 touchbacks, I believe. That's changed the field position. That's invaluable in a football game, especially tight games.
Coach, this weekend and watching other games as well, I saw a lot of freshmen playing. As you spoke, you had freshman center, freshman quarterback. Freshman center, unfortunately, out at USC until he got hurt. See that a lot now. What do you think is changing? Because before it used to be red shirt, and now freshmen are playing. Why do you think that changed?
Well, I think most young guys now are used to the pressure of playing in big moments because high school games now are all on television. Some of these guys come out of really good programs, quarterbacks especially. They throw the ball so much now. It's just human nature, and a lot of the offenses kind of fit what they've done in high school. Now the speed of the game changes on them, but the athletic ability they have that, and I think more coaches now are going, look, if he's the best player, then you need to play the guy, and you live with the inexperience of it. And if you're trying to establish who your quarterback is, and you got a young guy, you got to live with some mistakes, and you got to be able to live with that. But going forward, if that is your future, the quicker you can play that guy. You see in the NFL. NFL, it used to be back in the day, you didn't think about starting a rookie quarterback. They sat on the bench for 2 or 3 years. Well, now they come in and the offenses really are tailored to a lot of these guys' strengths. And so you got to live with that, but you put them in a comfortable situation where you're not asking them to do a lot, and they flourish. And as you continue to play, they grow. Can you imagine where they'll be in their second year? After going through 12 games or whatever it may be as a college player, their second year, they're a whole entirely different guy. So you just play them and you live with the consequences of when they make some mistakes.
Greg and Michelle.
Coach, you put Eno back in. You mentioned after the game that you wanted to get him 100
Yeah.
yards. It's a risky move in some ways.
Yeah.
What was your thinking behind that?
He wanted 100 yards, and I was going to get him 100 yards. I don't know. But I told him, I said, you got one carry, man. And if you don't do it now, partner, I don't know what to tell you. So you better figure it out. And the lineman knew it too. And, it's one of those things where, you're always caught, you're not. If it was a situation where it was a pass, I ain't doing that. Because I'm not trying to get guys stats on passes. I just don't believe in that. That was the big argument with Tony Gonzalez and myself. That we had in Kansas City. We were up, and it was toward the end of the game, and I could have threw him a couple hitches or something to break the record, and I didn't. And he was mad. He was furious at me. And I talked to him the next day, and I explained my situation. He explained his. I said, Tony, you're going to be a Hall of Famer. I said, this day will pass. I said, but I'm not. I'm old school. I was taught by a lot of great coaches, a high school coach, a great head coach in Dick Vermeil, and you just, when the game is where it's at in certain situations, there's certain things you just don't do, for me. And I regard the game of football too highly to do that stuff. I'm not a stat guy, I'm a win guy. I just want to win. And whatever it takes to win, we're going to do it. And I don't believe in giving guys false stats at the end of games when there's nothing to, when the game's over. It's kind of like, 100 yards, you give him a ball, he's got to run the ball. It's not like I'm throwing a pass. You actually got to run the ball. And everybody knows we're going to run the ball, right? So he's got to earn it. That's a little bit different for me when it comes to that. That's all.
Herm, it was limited reps, but it seemed as though Kewan Markham and Willie Hartz played well. And so I was just curious about what you thought about their performances and how that will maybe affect the roles moving forward.
Well, to continue to have a rotation, we need a rotation of, we play 5 guys, starters, so you're going to play 10 to 12 guys back there. Now, we got to play on special teams too, but we like to get a rotation going with the corners and the safeties. And in today's world, because of these speed-up offenses, and everybody wants to go fast, the more athletes you have back there, and you don't go from one level of athleticism to drop. It's now some of them don't have experience, but as they grow, and I keep saying this, we're trying to build a team, so you got to let them play. And all I can know is this: a year from now, we're gonna be a lot better. A lot better, because these guys are playing. It's no different than Rashard and all those guys that played last year. Now we got another 5 or 6 guys that are playing as freshmen, and they're going to play together. So now you're starting to build something that's kind of fun to watch, and they can run the defense. Eventually, these players will run the defense. They'll flat run it because they'll know it, and they all play together, and they can start giving hand signals of what they want to do, and I can check this now because I'm comfortable. So that's going to be fun to watch.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Coach,